Welcome to Dogman Narratives. I would like to thank Deadman Talking 666 for helping out with this video. You guys need to go and check out his channel. A link will be in the description below. I had a great time working with him on this project.
I first heard about the Morbach Monster when I was stationed at Hahn Air Force Base in Morbach, Germany in the late 1980s. Morbach was a munitions site just outside of the village of Wittlich. Wittlich is the last town where it's said a werewolf was killed. The area had a long history of werewolf lore. There is a shrine just outside the town where a candle always burns. Legend has it that if the candle ever goes out, the werewolf will return. To my surprise, the candle was always lit whenever I saw it. The Cold War was almost over, and the following year the Berlin Wall would come down. The Morbach ammunition storage site where I worked was set between Hunsrück Mountains to the east and the Moselle Valley to the west. From 1955 to 1995, it was the largest ammunition depot of the US Air Force in all of Europe. It was also surrounded by woods, hills, isolated farms and villages. There is an old hotel on the forest edge and an even spookier medieval ruin called Castle Baldonneau. It looked like the perfect place for something creepy to live. There was one time we had heard an airman stationed with us claim to have been stalked while walking his dogs by a creature that let out a wolf-like howl. He said it was in the tree line while he was on the road. His dog started to go a little crazy and bark fiercely. It definitely seemed like something was there. He heard the thing howl and then saw it standing there in between two trees. His dog became silent and sunk to the ground. Then his dog ran in a direction down the road towards two buildings. He went trailing after his dog and didn't see where the creature went off. One ordinary night in 1988, myself and one other US Air Force personnel were on the way to our post at Morbach when we noticed that the candle was out at the shrine. And we joked that the monster was indeed going to come out tonight. Later that night, alarms were received from a fence line sensor. When we investigated the disturbance at the western section of the fence, we thought that it might be a group of villagers or a case of freeing another wild boar from the mesh fence. I noticed movement from outside the fence. I shined my light straight at the spot. All I saw was just a dark shape. It was an animal, maybe a deer or a stray dog. One of the guys thought it was a dog or a town drunk because of the foul, sour smell that hung in the air. but after a couple of seconds, it definitely smelled like wet dog. It was hairy and had shoulders. The back looked more human or like a bear. We watched it for about 2 minutes before the creature turned around, snarled, and then stood up on its hind legs. We stared into the eyes of this huge wolf-like creature. It seemed to be minutes, but it was probably only a few seconds. The eyes were glowing red. I could see its breath from its mouth and nostrils. It looked like it was hunched over, but it was standing around 5'10", so it was definitely taller because of its posture. Before we could react, the beast, now on 2 legs, took a few giant steps and with one single giant leap cleared the 7.5-foot chain link fence before disappearing into the forest. To tell the truth, we were kind of shocked at what just happened. We didn't know what to think. We keep what we saw to ourselves. We thought maybe it was just a dog or a bear. More personnel came out shortly after with a canine unit to track whatever that was. The dogs picked up a scent and 3 other US officers went off following the scent. They took the dog with them to over a mile before the dogs were having issues and they had to call off the search. The results of the search came up empty. Some people later said that it had been a wild boar standing on its hind legs. I dismissed that. I was raised on a farm in the US and have seen many wild boars. This wasn't a boar. But someone always made sure that the candle on the Morbach Monster shrine was always lit. So, if you're ever in Wittlich, Germany, take a look to see, and it wouldn't hurt to bring a candle or a match.